Hello, everyone, and welcome to our listeners and our viewers. This is Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm your host today, Phil Sharkey from my company, The Higher Authority, and I have a great pleasure to speak today with Rob Premselaar he's the owner of Premselaar CPA firm. Rob, welcome to the broadcast.
Great. Thanks, Phil. Good morning. Glad to be here.
Sounds great, Rob. I know I had your bio here about your history as a CPA, and I think you've been at it for something like 14 years in tax and accounting preparation. And as we spoke off air, Rob, there's a lot going on in your field and in your CPA world. A lot seems to be changing as far as running my own business and the parameters, et cetera. So first, Rob, tell me, how did you start your own firm and tell me about your history? How did things start for you?
Yeah, so been a road getting to my own practice. I graduated college, just like many young aspiring professionals, was in the finance world, right? I finance, graduated Rutgers in '09, and that was the worst economic collapse of the last several decades. So I had a job lined up. I had an internship and a job lined up at a bank that folded in the summer of '08. So after that big economic crisis, went back to school for my MBA in accounting. Said, accounting, who wants to do accounting, right? Finance. And I actually had a real knack for it. I enjoyed it, actually, mostly. And through the career services, got a job at a big four firm, KPMG. I was in their audit practice there. Never really was in the tax world. I just felt like it was a little bit too technical. I like the audit side of the things. And then after about 7 years of being there, I had an opportunity. My neighbor called me up and he said, I'm like, Harry, what's going on? And he says, I'm looking to retire. I said, okay, you do tax. I do audit. It's like, I'm a doctor who does a heart. You do the foot. I don't want a heart surgeon doing a foot surgery. He goes, you'll figure it out. Why don't you come on in and meet us? And I started there as an associate. And after 3 years was made a partner. I had a real knack for the tax side of things. And with my audit background and just general business acumen and real world experience, I had a real knack for servicing my small to medium sized business accounts. And the tax stuff just came naturally to me. So became a partner there as part of the succession plan, had an opportunity to succeed the other partner of his, and just we're at two different phases of life, right? I was my early to mid 30s. The other partner was in his mid to late 50s. And we just had different aspiration, goals, needs, wants in life. And so after 5 years, I separated myself and my practice that I built there into my own firm. And yeah, that's how I got here. I opened up my practice in January of 23. And I love what I do. This is really, honestly, truly what I was meant to do. Where I'm at right now is helping small to medium-sized businesses in my own practice. And yeah, that's how we are here today.
Rob, a lot of what you say speaks to me as well. And I find with successful entrepreneurs that the course can always be very varied. And you think you're going one way and roads blocks you. And the successful people find another way to survive and to adapt. And as you mentioned, how your path changed into your current industry and your current business. So tell me, something else you mentioned too really strikes with me with the customer service and the contact. I find so many companies today difficult to reach, not responsive, don't seem to give back to the clients what they need to have. So tell me, it seems like that's a big focus for you and your customers.
Oh yeah, look, nobody loves to talk tax and accounting. They need it. And the old school mentality of coming to the office, meeting the old accountant, that's the old school. And there's certain barriers to providing service, right? If I close down my office for a 2-hour meeting, I can't answer my call. I can't answer emails. So if we limit the in-person, what that actually does is increases our ability in turnaround times.
Right.
And so that's what really myself and my staff really pride ourselves on, is being very responsive. Look, you're not going to call me to talk about the weather. You're going to call me when you have an issue, when you need to talk about a transaction, right? Next week, you have a business opportunity or you're selling something, or maybe a family member passed away, right? You don't want me to return your call in 3 weeks from now, right? And so I recognize that there's an opportunity for that. There's a need, there's a want for that. And we've actually modified the business model from the old school. And we've actually implemented technology that has allowed us to provide that service. So we've implemented an excellent online portal tool. It actually allows for a mobile app functionality on your phone, so you can text us right in. And between just inbound inquiries and actually within my firm, all this technology allows us to be very responsive to our clients.
It's so true, Rob. And one thing, myself being in business for 25 plus years, I've seen that change where it had to be person to person, in person meetings, and you lost so much time. Just like we're meeting today by Zoom now, it has to be quick. I usually reach out to you, Rob, as you mentioned, when there's an issue or a problem, and I want responses. And then I know you go through your seasons, and whether it's quarterly tax prep or the big tax season where it's just all hands on deck.
Yeah, look, this is the quick example that I always say. Prior to COVID, when I was at my old firm, we would go monthly, maybe twice a month to the same client, sit there all day. COVID happens, we're not going out. I had a young baby at the time, and just COVID, everything was shut down, but we still needed to do tax and accounting work. So what that forced us to do is provide that service remotely. So those clients that we've had, I was the second accountant for the last 50 years. We now had to change to a remote service. And the client said, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And I said, just let's do 2 instances. So instead of having a set of papers waiting for me in the office, you had to scan it in. We had to set up a Zoom call. That was the 1 month of change. And now actually, after all of that, they realized the service has increased. If the business owner has a question for the accountant, for me, rather than waiting, they look at their calendar and say, oh, Rob's coming in 19 days from now. Rather than waiting for that inquiry, you have no choice but to send that inquiry in today. I respond today or, within a faster pace. And then you end up getting better service because it's a more responsive service. And so overall quality goes up, hours go down, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Don't you think, Rob, out of something so terrible and negative, sometimes begets a brainstorm, a better way to do things? And it seems like out of that terrible time, much more cost-effective, time-effective way of conducting business has evolved in your field. So tell me as well, Rob, is it basically business that you work on, small to medium, large? Is it personal lines? Is it businesses that your company focuses on?
Yeah, so our bread and butter here are small to medium-sized businesses, anywhere from $500,000 self-employment business, real estate agents, contractors, and the like, all the way up to medium-sized businesses. My, nearly 9 figures of revenue, so nearly $100 million of revenue. What I tend to say is that's really not the driver. The top line, really what's the driver is the entity and the formation of the company. So no public entities. We work with small, closely held companies. The ideal is between 1 to 10 partners, owners, shareholders. And then what ends up coming off of that is the business owner, the families, and then it allows us to do holistic tax planning, right? It's a little frustrating sometimes when I have a small business, but I only have 8 out of 9 owners or 1 out of 2 partners. There's some things we can't implement when I don't see all the owners in it. So, right, the whole puzzle. So, but yeah, that's the ideal. Then we also work on a lot of high net worth individuals. We have professional athletes. We have lawyers, attorneys, lawyers and attorneys, medical practices, and partners of big, multinational organizations.
And Rob, logistics, as we're meeting today via Zoom, and it's such a technical world, is it basically New England based that you work out of? Do you have clients, Boston, South? Is it certain region at all that you work out of, or is it the whole country's in play?
We're able to service the entire country. We have a couple dozen returns where we file in 30 to 40 states, but just naturally, just through natural networking and relationship building and networks and referrals, most of our client base are in the area. We've now acquired, this is my 3rd year in my firm, we've now acquired 3 practices, 1 every year. And just naturally, we're just acquiring books of businesses from just the local area. But we are able to service clients all over the country. Clients move. We have many in Colorado, California, Florida, but yeah.
Outstanding, Rob. Well, it sounds like a successful journey. We wish you all the best as well as you continue along that way. I want to remind everyone we've been speaking here with Rob Premselaar. He's the owner of Premselaar CPA. Now, Rob, if our listeners were looking to get in touch with you or other entrepreneurs out there, how would they go about reaching out to you?
Couple ways: the firm's website, premselarcpa.com, my email, rob@premselarcpa.com, my LinkedIn, just search Rob Premselaar. There's not many with my last name, so you should be able to find me pretty quickly. And those are the primary ways.
Sounds great, Rob. Really appreciate taking the time to be on the show today and joining me for this interview. I look forward to catching up again in the future if you're available.
Sure.
Great conversation. So again, thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back with more stories on Radio Entrepreneurs.